Welcome to Troweling Down, Biblical Archaeology for the 21st Century. Hi, I'm Gary Byers. This is Dr. Steve Collins. And we're going to talk about Tal Hamam, ancient Sodom, and the fortifications of that city. Remember, Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. So, what do we got today?
Well, I thought we'd start with a little overview.
Okay.
Here we have a slide of Tal Hamam, and you can see the slope. This is the upper city here, and the lower city goes all around it. But you can see on the lower city there's a slope. It's matched by the slope of the upper city, so it's really the same angle. And going on
whole
from
thing
there,
about 64 acres.
Yeah, it's about 64 acres inside the city wall. And here we have Dr. Lane Rittmeyer's reconstruction drawing of the city. And you can see here is that lower city rampart, sloping rampart with a slick surface, the glossy. So it's very difficult for attackers to run up that slope and to get to the wall. So there's one for the upper city, there's one for the lower city. And you can see here's the gateway. We'll focus in on the gateway in a moment. But here's the gateway. The city wall then sits atop the rampart system, goes all the way around, and you can see there's multiple towers going around the city. Here's the temple we were able to excavate here some years ago. So there's a temple here. We know that there are residential areas, domestic areas, all around in this area. This is the palace, and we've been excavating in the palace for the last 5 or 6 years, 5 or 6 seasons. And we've excavated several places up here and several places on the lower city, but the key features that I want to point out are the rampart system, the city wall, the main city gate, the palace up here, and the temple down here.
We got a lot of stuff, and we've found, now we've only excavated, how many squares total for Tal Hamam?
We have, and these squares you mentioned, they're 6 meters by 6 meters. So that's about, 18, 19 feet by 18, 19 feet.
Right.
Okay. We have over 13,000 of those squares on our site grid.
And how many of those 13,000 do you think we've excavated?
In the last 15 excavation season, about maybe a little over 100. Maybe somewhere between 100 and 110.
That is a pretty small percentage, but we have found, as you said, the temple. We found the city gate down there below. We found the palace up above. We found a number of those towers along the wall on that southern side. We found a number of those towers, and that end tower on the west side, we found that as well. So we've really got quite a bit of that. We've identified a lot, but based on what we do know and what we know about ancient cities, that's a pretty good understanding.
It's a pretty good footprint.
What it used to look like.
And of course, the lower city was never built over.
Right, yes.
When it was destroyed in the Middle Bronze Age with that great fiery cataclysm that befell the city of Sodom, that area in the lower city was never built on really again. And so you can literally walk the foundation of the city wall without even excavating, and you can see a lot of these buildings right on the surface.
Yeah. And I love the thought that our site is also a Bel Shittim, Beit Yeshimot, in the story of Moses and Joshua and the Israelites coming from the east, out of the mountains, heading across the Jordan in the conquest. And I love the thought that the tabernacle could be sitting right in the middle of the lower city, right above the ancient temple, and sort of like God says, you want to see holy, let me show you holy.
Right.
And the Israelites camping around the
And of course,
outside.
this lower city was all just flattened. Yeah. And by the time Moses and Joshua got there, it was just whatever leftover mud brick had melted away. It was flat as a pancake. Yeah. And they were able to, Moses, of course, probably put his command camp up here, which again was just barren and flat after the city had been leveled by this great destruction. But then the tabernacle and the Levitical encampment would be down here.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat topography. Here's a picture of Danette and I. Actually, Dr. John Moore took this picture some years ago. But you remember excavating this in the very first and second dig seasons. This is the slope of the upper city rampart, and the ramparts in all the places around the city are built of mud bricks. Now you can't see it, but you see a little bit of this scalloping here, and that's the mud bricks. They're kind of eroded away, but up on the top we see the mud bricks themselves, and down the slope on the other side, inside the city, we see the mud bricks. So as far as we know, it's the only fully mud brick rampart system in the entire Near East.
They usually would just dump dirt, just baskets probably is what they were using. Baskets of dirt, just pile, put something on top of it, a glossy finish. But this one was built of mud bricks.
Mud brick. It's quite stunning and quite large.
How big were those bricks?
The bricks are about 45 to 50 centimeters. You know, it's about 18 inches by about, what would you say? About
12?
10, 11 inches
Okay.
by about 4 or 5 inches. So they're pretty big bricks as bricks go.
Not like we think of them.
Yep. And the gateway, now we talk about Lot sitting in the gateway of Sodom. I'm not saying that's Lot. But this is, again, Dr. Lane Rittmeyer's, one of his reconstruction drawings based on the actual excavation.
Yes.
And so you can see it here. It's quite a gate complex.
Just with your cursor, can you show the line what we actually dug?
Yeah, all of this, all of this was all dug. This tower is sort of extrapolated in because we never got that far. But Dr. Rittmeyer assures us that everything was built symmetrically and that there is another large tower on the east side here.
But we actually got the stones, and we got a number of courses of the mud bricks.
In fact,
on
this
top
corner is actually shaped exactly like that.
Yeah.
So this is quite a good rendering of what that may have looked like. And you can see the little guys up here on top of the towers. It gives you a sense of the scope, the size of this thing.
Yeah.
It's quite large. Now, if you want to take that and cut away, you can see the inside of it, and very unusual, it has pillars on the inside. This is like a pillared palatial hallway that we would see on a place like, say, Crete in the same period. This is not the typical sort of multi-chambered gate that you get for the Middle Bronze Age. It's so unique, and it's quite a structure. Lane thinks there's a light well going down through here to light the interior.
That would be the reason for the pillars.
Yes, and so this allows this kind of structure. But you can see the foundations here and the insides of the towers and the suggested, by the way, there's a right turn. This gate doesn't allow you to go straight into the city. You have to come in and make a hard right turn and go into the city. So it's quite unusual, and it's one of the reasons why we think that there's a significant Minoan from Crete, Minoan influence in the city.
Which the Bible doesn't talk about, but which we see in archaeology in the Holy Land in this time period.
Yes, we sure
so
do.
It makes sense, but it sure did upset us when that gatehouse did not look like normal gatehouses
we were
looked.
expecting something completely different.
It took a while.
And when we saw this, and there are multiple versions of this. It goes back to the previous period and the previous period before that. So for hundreds and hundreds of years, they were rebuilding this gate complex, but still using pillars with column bases.
Yeah,
and we found the column bases in place.
Yes, that's how we knew.
Yeah. Now, this is something very similar. This is from the city of Hatzor, but you can see typically this is the same kind of construction that you see all across the Holy Land in all the major sites. And here's what it looks like, just for a little education here. There are two types of ramparts. There's a freestanding rampart where you build the earthen berm like this, okay, and you have a city wall built. So it actually allows you to raise the city up higher and give it a higher footprint for whatever reason, but it certainly helps against attackers.
Yep.
And then there's the supplemental rampart style where you have the city wall built either on bedrock or with foundation or not, depending upon what the substrate is. But then you build this rampart and glossy on the outside. So it's a supplemental rampart. And so here you can see it again. And one of the things about Sodom, Tal Hamam, was that it was really well watered. Not only is there a set of springs, and you can see some little pools
here we go.
here in this area, but so inside the city they had actually hot water and cold water. There's a cool spring and a warm spring. And you have these perennial rivers, streams running around the outside. So you look at their situation, and they had it pretty good.
Yes.
You know, it was a very stable situation, and it was so hot in this part of the world in the time of going to war in the springtime and into the summer that we don't really find any evidences at the city that they were ever militarily destroyed.
Yeah, that's right.
And gateways. We haven't found ours yet, but we
up above.
We found it, but we
Yes.
didn't find the whole structure
yes,
intact.
right, yes.
Because a little matter of a major destruction that occurred.
Yeah.
But we're hoping to find maybe on the other side of the upper city another gateway that might look something like this. This is the one from the famous one from Tel Dan.
Dated about the same time.
About the same time.
So which the Bible would put Abraham at Dan being a city that was functioning.
Right.
And then at the same time at Tal Hamam, Sodom, that would all
Right.
fit together. There's something about this picture though that's unique.
Well, actually, if you go there, and you can go there today, it actually has a big roof over the top of it.
Yes.
It's open on the sides, but it's a big roof over the top, and you can't walk through the gate. Now, I did once almost walk through the whole gate. That was a long time ago, and but because they left all that material inside to help
Yes.
protect it from collapsing, and now it's completely filled in order to help preserve it.
Yes.
But what I did, with a little magic of computers, right? I made the archway go all the way through. So anyway, that's what it would look like if you actually had the gateway. Of course, it would have a couple of big doors on it, one on the inside, one on the outside.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what it looks like. And here's the little gate towers on this side. You recall the ones at our side.
Yes.
The gate towers on the side and the gatehouse in the middle.
And all of this, all that we're looking at, that is mud brick.
It's all
That is
mud brick.
Mud brick construction. You can see stones there on the ground, but that is all mud brick construction.
Yep. So this gives you kind of a sense of what it looks like. And this is, again, you saw Lane's drawings of our site.
Yes, there we
Here's Lane's drawing
Yes.
of the Tel Dan Gateway, which is not as elaborate as ours.
Nope.
And in fact, our gateway would be one of the bigger gateways ever discovered. So that's kind of it.
Now
And
that one went straight through.
it went straight through,
And
but
that's
ours makes a right turn.
This is what we were expecting.
This is what we were looking for.
This is what we knew about. This is what we were expecting. But ours, once you go in, you make a right-hand turn, and as you pointed out, that kind of leads you straight to the temple.
Yes, it does. Once you get inside, then there are these spoke roads that sort of come in from different angles from around that perimeter, coming right to the temple area. So the city was laid out with a lot of planning ahead of time. It wasn't kind of done. It didn't grow up kind of willy-nilly. It was really a major city plan that was done. We think after a major earthquake at around 2000, 2100 BC, it was a big earthquake, and they had to build a whole new city. And that old fortification had been there for hundreds of years, and they just decided, well, everybody else has these really great newfangled Middle Bronze Age fortifications. Let's build in the new style. So they tore down some of the old fortifications, reincorporated some of the old fortification, and built a new system to defend the city.
Doesn't that mean all the stuff that you've described and shown with the pictures and described, it's going to take an awful lot of governmental authority and finances and manpower to pull off what we've got over 64 acres.
Exactly. I mean, manpower, think about this. We estimated, based on the number of bricks you can get in a cubic yard or cubic meter, right? We estimated somewhere between 40 and 60 million mud bricks just to build the rampart system.
40 or 60 million.
40 to 60 million mud bricks just to build the rampart system, not including the city wall on top of it. So just the ringing rampart took huge quantities of bricks to build. And, you know, you don't do that on a weekend.
No.
It's not something casual. You have to plan this. You have to pay for it. You have to go through all the brick making, the brick transport. You have to lay the bricks in place. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a lot of money.
And in fact, mud brick making season is the summertime.
It is the summertime because we tried.
We tried.
You can't make mud bricks in the wintertime. We tried it at the site.
It rained.
And we couldn't get them dry enough. They would just start to dry out, and then we'd get a rainstorm. And it's just so, yes, you want to once you get to March, it doesn't rain anymore until November.
Yep.
So if you're going to make bricks, you're going to make them in the spring, in the summer, and the early fall.
So the idea of how they would have even pulled all that off, they must have been making hundreds of thousands each summer and then putting them up.
Of course, it's so hot in the valley, in the summer, 120, 30, 40 degrees. You put those bricks out there, and in a day and a half, they're dry. They're ready to lay. You know, they're going to dry really, really quick.
Yeah. So it showed that King Bera of Sodom would have been a pretty powerful dude to pull that off. If we're right that this is the right identification of Sodom, this was quite a place, and God knew how to take it down a peg or completely, and He did.
And He certainly did. And the archaeology shows that.
Yeah. Well, this is the place that we've been digging. We love to dig there, and we're looking forward to going back. Come and join us. Contact us and come dig with us. Dig Tal Hamam. Dig Sodom. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
Next time.